it is now time for Yo Rookie, presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar, NFL Rookie of the Week. All right. Listen, congratulations first and foremost to CJ Stroud, who was Rookie of the Week for the second straight week. No surprise there. Brandon. And spoiler alert, he is back on the list for week 11. Again, no surprise there. So BC, go ahead and throw those week 11 nominees on the screen for us. All right, here we go. A new face on the list. We have the Giants quarterback, Tommy DeVito, who threw for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Still in his
Giants'
parents' basement.
Yes, coming live from his parents' basement. Listen, CJ Stroud, no surprise there, threw for 336 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Texans win. We have number 3, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back from the Detroit Lions, had 95 yards from scrimmage and 1 rushing touchdown in the Lions win. We have Tank Dell, also out of Houston, joining his quarterback. A wide receiver, caught 8 passes for 149 yards and a touchdown in week 11. We have Jaden Reed out of Green Bay, recorded 92 yards from scrimmage and a rushing touchdown in the Packers win. And a new face on the list, we have linebacker Yaya Diaby, had 4 tackles and 2 sacks in week
his name.
11. Brandon, it's nice to see some new faces on the list, right?
There is. And then also like some guys that are new but starting to pop up a little bit more, like Jaden Reed, right? Like I think he hit as a nominee maybe 2 weeks ago, and to see him come back around, that's good. See, the beautiful part about, you know, this, Ashley, like we're seeing it, right? Like a guy makes it to the league, and it's, some people say that it's harder to stay. And how do you break through? It's like this welcome to the NFL moment. So some of these guys, halfway through the year, they either hit a rookie wall, and the rookie wall is like, damn, by this time, usually our season's over in college football. And so like their bodies aren't used to it. Their minds aren't used to it. But then there's some of these guys that continue to show up or starting to show up now. It's like, oh, they broke through that rookie wall. They're about to take off and really tell the NFL, like, hey, I'm here. And so it's pretty cool seeing these guys ball. CJ Stroud, what he's doing, Ashley, is just next level. Tank Dell, oh my goodness, I wish we could show more footage. Ashley, Nicole Moss. I got goosebumps thinking about it. Tank Dell had the most amazing route that I've ever seen this Sunday. He ran like a in, up, stutter, go. I was like, what the hell is that? It was unbelievable. So it's pretty cool seeing these guys develop and really take the NFL by storm.
I love that. Well, speaking of taking the NFL by storm and life after football, we have a special guest joining us who has something has something he can relate to you with. Brandon, can you guess what that is?
Business. Big business. Is it business?
I was gonna go football first. Can you take a guess?
Oh, yeah. Of course I know. Wide receiver. What do you mean? 2006, yes, we were drafted
wide receiver for the Denver Broncos and current CEO of Breakaway Data, David Anderson, is joining us. Welcome to the show, David.
Oh, your audio. Turn your audio up. You're on mute.
Come on. 06 draft.
Hold on. Time out. Hold on. Time out. See, David, we can get into this. Maybe we need a whole sit down, a whole hour. Okay. He's done some amazing things in tech, Ashley. I think he's more of a Hall of Famer. He's having a better business career.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Football.
I was blurring the lines of football first.
Okay, but Ashley, you don't take it easy on him. How the hell does a tech guy come in here and not know how to turn on his audio?
Well, you got. There's someone on the background was muting me. I didn't know if that was going to be done by you guys or me. But yeah, you're Zoom and the Wi-Fi. You never figure out. That's the two hardest things.
We love you, man. Thanks for coming on. 2006 7th round, pick 251. We love you, brother. I was drafted in 2006. Ashley, you know who else was drafted in 2006 to the Houston Texans?
Who?
The guy who's leading the Houston Texans now. This was his teammate. They were there at the same time, 2006 to 2011. That's his boy.
My boy.
Wow.
I'll tell you a quick D'Amico Ryan's story. We got 30 seconds here. So it's NFL training camp, July 28th. Gary Kubiak gets up and says, "Hey guys, we got a birthday boy. This guy's been making tons of plays out here. We're really excited for him to lead this team. Blah, 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 blah. Everybody give it up for Anthony Weaver." And we're like, "What? Anthony Weaver's birthday, July 28th. Anthony Weaver's now the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, or assistant coordinator, assistant head coach. And all of a sudden, the equipment manager runs up to Coach Kubiak and says, "No, no, no, there's one more birthday." And they're like, "Oh, wait, we have a rookie. This guy's birthday is also today. He was drafted. He's been making plays. He was out there with the ones today. I was out there with the ones that day." I was like, "Oh shit, they're gonna tell me it's my birthday." And they're like, "Everybody give it up for D'Amico Ryans." And so D'Amico Ryans, Anthony Weaver, and Dave Anderson, I got no love. No love.
It was your birthday?
July 28th, me, Anthony Weaver, D'Amico Ryans.
Wow.
You know why?
They left the 7th rounder out. So from then on, D'Amico, Anthony, and I are all on a text thread talking about our birthdays. Like you see every year, just like ding, 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 ding. Happy birthday, bro.
I love that, and I can absolutely see you. I could have seen you go into coaching, but it's probably because you were 7th round. He probably just overlooked you. He didn't think that you were going to make the team. Probably that's probably what it was, Ashley.
Listen, I mean, let's talk about your professional career. We mentioned the Texans, the team that you were drafted to, the Denver Broncos, something you and Brandon share.
Yeah.
A second stint with the Houston Texans, and then the Washington Redskins when they were still the Redskins. Which team do you have the fondest memories of?
So I think, and Brandon speaks to this, I've heard him talking about, like, he was just talking about with Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett, and but Aaron Rodgers has been under probably like 4 different coaching trees now. But like I was under the Shanahan coaching tree, which is former Bill Walsh West Coast offense, right? And so Kubiak was my coach. Kyle Shanahan was my receivers coach. Matt LaFleur was our PN graduate assistant. Mike McDaniel was a graduate assistant. Robert Saleh was a graduate assistant. D'Amico Ryans we were drafted with. We had 7 head coaches on that staff my rookie year.
Wow.
Or first 2-3 years. And a lot of people give the Redskins a lot of love, but the Texans were actually the first one to put that staff together. And I would say I learned more about the game of football those first couple years than I had the previous probably 11. And I didn't realize how fortunate we were to have those coaches, right? I had no idea that Mike McDaniel was going to be the head coach he was, or LaFleur, or Kyle. I was just like, oh, everyone gets coaches like this. And then even when coaches cycled through the Texans, I was like, oh, I miss the way Kyle used to teach us. I wish the way Mike used to teach us. And you just found that those guys were amazing communicators. We as players, when we get together at like alumni weekends, we almost feel like we failed them. And then like we had a really good offense one year and a really bad defense. I lived in NFL purgatory my entire career. I was always 8-8, 7-9, 9-7. We never really were really bad to get the first pick again. We were never really good to do anything in the playoffs, but that was a break. So my favorite was probably like that 2-year stint on the Texans, year 3 and 4, probably.
So you're talking about being in NFL purgatory, right? I feel like the Texans were there just last year and for a couple of years, right? Are you shocked that your buddy, where you guys kind of share the same birthday, are you shocked that? Are you surprised that D'Amico Ryans turned this team around the way he did so quickly?
I know the first thing. So we all kind of caught up on and wished him well and whatnot, and I've been catching up with him over the years and seeing him in different places, and the one thing I knew he was going to come in there is really change the culture. And I don't think people really understand that's something that kind of has to do with the players, but it really has to do with the perception of guys that even are coming in new to the team, because your roster is going to turn over 30-40% a year, and like those will change some of the nuances of the culture. But the head coach, the general manager, the way that they treat players, the way that the staff treats players, the way that the equipment manager treats players, if they were all going to follow D'Amico, that was going to be a really strong culture and something that you can get behind. And players were going to understand what they had to do to win. And I think that's what they were missing, was that when you walked into the Patriots building for that long time, you knew exactly what was going to be expected of you. And I think that was what made that culture so strong. And that's what everyone was looking for, is a culture where if you get picked up as a free agent or you get drafted, you know exactly what you're walking into. And I think people are starting to better understand what the Texans are and what they represent. You know, they know they're going to play tough, fast, physical football. The city of Houston is rallying behind them big time. That's going to be a tough place to play in the coming years. Looks like they found their quarterback, but more importantly, I think they found a culture and a head coach that they can really get behind.
Mm.
Well, I mean, speaking of a culture and a head coach, let's shift gears to Brandon's favorite team, the one he does not stop talking about, the quarterback he doesn't stop talking about, Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. They've hit a stride. Right now they're sitting at 500, which is incredible considering how they started, how they looked, even going back to last season before Sean Payton even got there. So, are you a believer? Are you a member of the Brandon's Broncos bandwagon?
I want to be a Broncos fan. I liked my time at Colorado State. I liked the Denver Broncos was the first NFL game I ever went to. I got a bunch of friends that are Broncos, but I'm not a believer in the Broncos. I don't think Alex Singletary, the middle linebacker, went to my high school. So like I want to root for them, and I text him all the time, tell him how big of a beast he is running around making all those tackles. But like I just can't really get behind. They're in the AFC West, which is a tough division. They're gonna run into the Chiefs again. I don't see how they never win clean. It's always a super dirty win with some crazy lucky plays that they pull out of their butt. I'm not really a big believer. I think they've turned it around from being it's going off the cliff to now it's actually a team that you can watch and get behind. But I don't see them winning more than 9 games this year.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, David?
Shots fired.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's okay. So, what year were you? What year were we drafted?
2006.
Do you remember who won the Super Bowl that year?
No.
Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Seattle Seahawks. The final score was 21-10. Okay. Our rookie year. Okay. Halfway through the year, the Steelers was damn near 500. They go on this crazy run second half of the season, and they end up winning the Super Bowl, hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. So, can you see, I'm going to rephrase this question, can you see the Denver Broncos being the 2006 Pittsburgh Steelers?
No, I can't see it.
Oh my God! So who? Okay. Well, who can you see? Well, finish up what you're about to say, but then tell me who you can see being the 2006 Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, I think to finish what I was saying about the Broncos, I don't. I like the way that they righted the ship. I think you're right in that. I think they got a chance to maybe sneak into the playoffs. Maybe. I highly doubt it. What I like about them and which is important for every team to figure out is how to win when you play ugly. But the problem is you can't always expect that. You got to go out there and just beat some teams. And I think that's kind of what they're missing is they're not just like going out there and beating some teams. Who can be the Pittsburgh Steelers? I don't know if it's going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers type of year. I see the Eagles playing amazing football. Even that game last night, I see the Chiefs playing amazing football. I see the 49ers playing really good football. I'm still a believer in the Dolphins, even though they haven't pulled out and beat.
I'm not.
I like what they do, and I think that's tough to guard any game. I would wonder how that would, as long as they can play in fast weather, I think they always got a chance.
So you. What about the Texans? Can you see the Texans? Can you see the Texans and your buddy drafted the same year, 2006? Y'all been in the trenches together. D'Amico Ryans leading the Texans, right?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just not following the AFC South that much. I had no idea that the Jaguars were 7-3.
Oh yeah, they're playing.
They were garbage.
Yeah, they're playing good football.
Yeah, I had no idea. I just remember I saw some clip that the coach was complaining about Trevor Lawrence turning the ball over and whatnot, and I was like, oh, but they're 7-3, and so they're a good football team, and that I didn't see that coming. So you got to win the AFC South, and then there's plenty of football left that can happen. So I mean, they can get into the playoffs. I'm not the best person to ask for this stuff. I never even played in a playoff game. Like I played 6 years in the NFL. I never played in a playoff game, and it was terrible.
That's like you, Brandon.
It's just like I know what it takes to win in the NFL. I have no idea what happens when you get to the playoffs. Zero.
Why did he bring that up,
Oh, you
Ashley?
guys have more in common than we thought. Look at that.
13 years
I want
never
to
made it
switch
to the
gears with you,
playoffs.
David, for a
We're in the
second, and I
playoffs
want to
for
talk
13
tech.
years.
13 years never made it to the playoffs. And I came under the same tree. I've said this story so many times on this platform, but 2006, right? We're going through the draft process, okay? I'm scheduled to go. I went to Kansas City, and when you go on these trips pre-draft, they actually give you per diem. The Kansas City Chiefs gave me like an $85 check that I still haven't cashed. It's like sitting there in my office, okay? So I go there. And then all of a sudden, I'm headed to the airport, Ashley, and my agent calls me, Kennard McGuire. He's like, hey, the Houston Texans want you to fly there. So I go to Houston, right? Well, that was all we were on the schedule. I go to Houston. Guess who I'm sitting with? I'm sitting with Kyle Shanahan, your guy, your coach. Kyle Shanahan's like, hey, man, we just picked up Aaron Moulds. Remember Moulds? Did you play with Moulds?
Eric Moles.
Eric Moulds. Did you play with him?
Yes.
So y'all just traded for him from Buffalo. And so he's like, we only got a first and a third round. We need a wide receiver. You're probably not going to be there. We're not going to take one in the first, probably not in the third. So let's just watch film, right? Anyways, I leave there, headed to the airport to go back to Orlando, Florida. I get a call from my agent, Kennard McGuire. He's like, hey, now you're going to Denver. So now I go to Denver, and Shanahan, the big Shanahan, he ended up drafting me, right? So I came through in that era. You know what I mean? Like that Shanahan, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So we do have a lot in common. So think about that, bro. I'm on the Denver Broncos. They were in the AFC Championship in 2005.
Yeah.
Still didn't make the playoffs my 4 years there.
You guys have no idea how lucky they are. We had a practice squad player get cut, go to the Colts, win a Super Bowl, got cut from the Colts, go to the Saints, win a Super Bowl, got cut from the Saints and put on the Giants and won a Super Bowl. Back to back to back Super Bowls, 3 different teams. And like never played more than probably like 8 snaps in a game.
Ashley, I always thought that was good. Like, you know, you have that in a year. I had a guy training here, Ashley, for like 2 years, and he was just still trying to hold on. And he ended up getting a call from the LA Rams, the year they won the Super Bowl. He gets a call 2 weeks before postseason, and then they go on this run, and he wins the Super Bowl. This is a guy that was on the street for 2 years. And then all of a sudden he's there. Now he has a ring. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable. But anyways, Ashley, I know we're reminiscing. See what happens when you bring 2 old dudes together?
I love it. I love story time. Listen, we'll switch gears a little bit. I want to talk some tech because the Breakaway data app is very, very cool for people who don't know. If you look on the website, it basically targets 3 things: what you did in a game, what you did in training, and then what you did the other 20 hours of the day. So talk to me about the mindset behind it, the ideology behind it, how it came about, all of it.
Yeah, so when I was finishing playing, is when they started putting GPS devices on all of us. They started tracking everything we were doing in the weight room. There's force plates. There's things on our on the dumbbells and kind of everything, measuring what we were doing and kind of trying to get a better understanding of who we were as athletes. And I started seeing all this stuff pile up. When I finished ball, I went to graduate school and started getting into sports analytics, sports tech, and I was on the other side. I was actually creating tech that was monitoring players. And throughout that process, I realized like these guys don't have any access to this. You know, these teams are evaluating their rosters. They're making decisions in free agency. They're making decisions about in-game play from this data. Yet the athletes don't have access to it. And to me, that just felt wrong. And so I wanted to make sure that someone created a technology, someone created a platform, someone created an app essentially that gave athletes access to their information. And let's start from that process. Let's give them access and make sure they have it. Now, some guys, as any athlete and anyone that plays sports would know that they wouldn't be interested in it, and that's fine. But there are other athletes who would really lean in and want to use it to improve their career, and they deserve that right. And so that's what we really provide here at Breakaway. So we work with professional leagues, we work with other professional players associations. We're starting with colleges, and then eventually, as more data and technology starts going downstream, we want to bring this to the everyday athlete and high school athletes. But we've really seen a lot of love with the NWSL and the NWSLPA and those women and what they do on a daily basis. The Gotham FC, who won, they were the first team to really adopt what we're doing, and so that's been fun to watch. Starting to get a lot more attention in basketball and those athletes as everyone's paying more attention to load monitoring and what that means and what it doesn't mean. But overall, it's just been it's been really fun to stay involved with ball, stay involved
Yeah.
with the data and everything that comes off it, because there's not a good story that doesn't include a data point. You want to argue LeBron versus Michael Jordan? What are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about data points. You're going to talk about championships. You're going to talk about minutes played. You're going to talk about height and weight and dunks and wins and all this stuff, right? And so those are all data points and important storytelling tools that I just think athletes should have access to, and that's really the heart of it.
Well, two athletes that stood out to me that are featured on your website, you know, the official athletes app of the NFL Players Association. We see that Athletes Unlimited, USA Football. And then if you look at join, you know, elite athletes across the globe, there are some names there that may stick out to you, Brandon. We have the point god himself, Chris Paul.
That's right.
CP3, but also a guy who played football just yesterday who probably is tracking his data like what the hell just happened, Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
So kind of tell me the story about how you guys got them involved. I mean, these are two of the biggest athletes in the world.
So Mahomes is the new Tom Brady, TB12 of the world. He's got a team of people, and so I don't want to pretend that like he's the one clicking on the phone and doing all the stuff. But he has a team of people that really support him, his mind, his body, what he does from preparation, and what he does outside the Kansas City room, the Kansas City locker room, and outside the Kansas City facilities. And so like he's been great. We've used speed with him. We've collected his tracking data for him and helped his team analyze it. So we've really given him a lot of information that he uses on Tuesdays and Fridays, as well as information that he uses kind of in the off season when it's time to figure out what he can do next year, what he should be doing this in the off season to prepare for a better next year. The Chris Paul situation has been ideal, right? Like he was Brandon and I know this and still to this day blows my mind. When you finish playing a game, you go on the bus and then they give you a white piece of paper that has all your stats. And then if you want to look up stats from the week prior, you got to go to like ESPN.com or NFL.com like a fan to compare your own stuff. And maybe you can go ask the stat guy at your team or the video guy. But like I was always like, let's just give the players their info. So that was the first thing we built. Chris was like the app had all his stats, all the stuff that he found important, all the advanced analytics, and then he started adding more and more stuff to it. And so we've really learned a lot from these players in terms of it's wildly different what's important to them, sport by sport, wildly different what they get and what they use it for. But the thesis is like you have data and stats and information that's collected on you, you should have access to it. And when you do that for athletes, it's fun to see how they really kind of bond with their own information. Because in a lot of ways, it's like looking at a mirror, you know, and you get to kind of nitpick what you want to fix and what you're good at.
That's dope. That's dope. Quick question, real quick. My only question on business. What's harder, football or business?
Ooh.
I grew so comfortable with being taxed physically that was so easy, and that stepping on the field and practicing, I knew what I needed to do. I knew I had to win a certain amount of one-on-ones. I had to win a certain amount of reps. You had to catch a certain amount of balls. You had to prepare a certain way. And all that was perfectly ironed out. And you knew if you were good or bad every day. You got this thumbs up, thumbs down, and you would watch it on the film, you break it down. Mm-hmm. And not only that, you and everyone around you was held accountable to pretty much the same measurement. Did you win or did you lose? And did you win your individual battles that ultimately led to the larger battle? That was the best, right? That and that does not exist in the real world. There are measurements. People have KPIs. They have EBITDA. They have growth numbers. They have all these different things. And it seems like everyone emphasizes something different. The business world is hard because it is not so matter of fact. People try to make it like it is, but it is not. And it is frankly not as transparent as professional sports, right? Like the wins, the losses, you know exactly what someone's supposed to do, what they get paid, how they're supposed to function. So I miss that. But like I don't miss running and getting just absolutely my body demolished on a daily basis. So like that is nice to sit here and chat about football. But like I would say the physical aspect did not bother me about football, playing and grinding. So like that was certainly easier. The mental aspect of business is harder.
Right.
I find because it's the nuances get you.
Great.
So maybe a little bit of both.
Great. Great answer, and I appreciate that. You know, I'm on that same journey. This is the Pepsi Zero Sugar NFL Rookie of the Week conversation. Yo, rookie. So before we let you go, any thoughts on what Tank Dell, CJ Stroud is doing in Texas?
I love what they're doing there. You know, when you get a rookie quarterback, you're worried about two things. You're worried about turnovers and you're worried about sacks. And he is frankly like dominating those two. CJ Stroud and the Texans are dominating those two things. 22 sacks on the season, which is nothing, and a handful of interceptions, which is amazing considering the amount of attempts he's taking care of the football, which means he's always giving his team a chance to win. And that's all D'Amico needs. He's going to have that defense revved up, ready to go. And so CJ has really taken a hold of the leadership role and understood what you need to do to win. They've gone out and just beaten teams like what I mentioned the Denver Broncos haven't done. And they've also won ugly, which is what you need to do in order to kind of get stack up those wins in order to get into the playoffs. They're still a very young team. Tank Dell making these plays out there, had a couple amazing catches. I watched that exact route.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about? What was that route?
I didn't know you had this amount of time in the NFL these days. I thought you can never do a double move in the middle of the field when we were playing. That didn't exist. But like they're creative, they're fun to watch. And I'm with you. You mentioned this about rookies early on, is that a lot of teams catch up. And they've now seen you for whatever you put 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks of game on a game on film. They start to scout you harder. They know more what you're good and you're bad at. And a lot of rookies have that dip. These two look like they're going up, and I like seeing that. And my hope is it just keeps going up. There's going to be little setbacks, but you're hoping it's like the stock market, that it just keeps going up to the right. I'm happy where the franchise is. I'm happy who's leading it, and from behind center as well as on the sideline. So I think the Texans got a bright future for sure.
Love it. There you go.
David, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about football, business, and story time with Brandon Marshall. If you guys want to go ahead and vote for your favorite rookie this week, head over to NFL.com/voting/rookies. Again, that's NFL.com/voting/rookies. David, thank you so much.
Text me.
And this has been Yo Rookie, presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar, NFL Rookie of